And as a businessman, I have to be open to every revenue stream that I possibly can. So my stuff is available through Amazon for the Kindle. It is available through mydigitalcomics.com. These aren't things that I necessarily like as digital formats, but people do. You know, I'm not just creating for myself. I put it out there for other people to you know, enjoy, ingest, and talk about. So I have to have as many different possible ways for anybody to get it, you know, ever. Because I mean, I'm looking at, I've got 2 copies left of The Trouble with Love. That's not going to help, you know, if there are 3 people that want to read it, somebody's going to come up short. Because I didn't do my job to make as many different venues as possible. So that's what that's about. It makes it easier for me on a production level. Oh, you want to read it? Digital. Go get it. 99 cents. Holla. You know, thrift shop. Like that's basically how I justify that to myself. It is a way to get more product out there. That's a huge deal. Printers, it's hard. It's hard.
Every printer we've looked at, we're losing money.
I can understand that. I can understand that. Yeah. What printers have you looked at so far? Have you tried Kablam?
I can't remember all. We have, it's like a collaboration between 4 or 5 different people right now. I can't remember all the printing companies that he had, but they're all like local Columbus printers.
Okay.
The best price we got was like $385 a book.
You know what? I printed this up for a local one, and they got it down to $350.
$350?
Yeah, $350. So
Still ouch.
that's still ouch because when I, you know, as an indie.
$1.95 better.
Say that again?
I like the $1.95.
Yeah, the $1.85. That was even sweet. I mean, he was like, yes. Because I mean, they carried a $5 price tag. You know, for a small press, we are allowed some uppages in terms of our sale price because we're small press guys. It's kind of expected. But your typical comic books are $3.99. You know, so we've got to be somewhere in that market of profitability. And believe me, $3.50 a book is not really touching it. Like
So you can move comic books at $5 a book if you need to.
Yes, you absolutely can. It's all about the value that you present with that book. With mine, The Trouble with Love, first thing I tell people, it's my first full color book out of this whole series, full color, the whole thing. That gets people. It's like, really, you small press guy and you did it in full color? Full color, yes. The Samaritan, it's got the first 3 books in it. The first 3 issues are all in this one collector's edition for $5. There you go. You know, that's how I push. Same thing with Origins Unknown. It's got the first 3 in it. So it becomes something that you can push as a valuable item. You just definitely have to feel like your work is that viable. You know, you can't be like, well, I mean, you know, it's $5. I hope you don't mind. That you've already undercut yourself. But yeah, you can do it. The other thing about that though, where I come in is I'm trying to make my books more viable to comic shops. What I don't want is for conventions to be the only place that I can really sell something. I want my stuff to be something where you see it and you're like, I can pick that up and I like it. You have to have your stuff priced right for the retailers. Like I discussed earlier, they have, you know, mainstream characters. They have the iconic folks, Spider-Man, your Caps, Iron Man. Those guys don't always move. So what do you do to make your book that no one's ever heard of before something that they want, something that they can, you know, viably say, all right, I'll take a chance on that. You have to price it. You know, I know that through Diamond, you know, if they order a certain quantity, it's certain percentages off of their cover price. You know, so that way they do make money off of the sale of books. Little known fact, I know this because I've dealt with some comic shops in my day. Did you guys know that the books for Free Comic Book Day actually still cost them money?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, right? Like they give those away, but it still costs them money. It's the nature of the beast, you know? Somebody's got to get paid something sometimes. Like it's just the way it is. And honestly, things trickle down for the retailers. They have to carry the brunt of the comic book industry that not a lot of people recognize. We as small press guys, we think, oh, the comic shops aren't fair, they're not giving us our fair shake, they're not giving us a chance. It's very difficult for them to do so. You know, they have to shoulder everything. You know, they're buying stuff on spec 3 months ahead of time. You know, all the books that came out this past week, they were purchased 3 months ago. You know, and that's the idea that whatever this thing is going to be interesting enough, it's going to move, that there's not going to be some controversy that's popped up in between time. Not to get on that political high horse, but the whole Orson Scott Card thing. Can you imagine if this had really come out after they had already made orders for this book? You know, granted it's a digital thing if I'm not mistaken, but imagine that. Like you got like this big, huge, you know, ordeal popping off after you've placed an order for some 100, 200 copies of a book. And now people are like, no, we don't want this guy on it. What do I do? Like, that's my money, like coming out of pocket in flux. I don't know what to do. So again, somebody who is an unknown, dealing with characters I've never heard of before, I'm not jumping at that. That's a fool's errand. But again, if you present it with that understanding, you market your things in that viable fashion. You take your products that are of a commercial standing, of a commercial viability, and not just, oh, it's a comic book, you're a comic shop, you're definitely going to carry it. No, 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 that's not always the case. You know, look at your product. Does it fit this thing? Does it work well against these other items? If not, don't go over there. That's not smart. You know, don't go where everybody's at if you don't have to. Go to where no one is. You know, if there's a record shop, if there's a shoe store. I actually have some of my books in a shoe store. Why? Because I could. You know, it was a spot where it was like, you know what? You guys don't have any comic books. It's like, oh no, we've never thought about that.
Pizza shop.
Pizza shop. That's people wait at pizza shops all the time. What? It's gonna be 20 minutes. Would you like to read a comic book? Don't mind if I do.
Pizza Hut over here on Cleveland Avenue actually did. They had a driver that was a rap artist.
Really?
And they promoted his.
That's awesome. Shout out to Pizza Hut. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, just don't buy the food there.
Well, okay.
I used to work there.
Oh, okay.
I know what they do.
You know what they? This is a Fight Club moment right now. Like they did something to the soup. Okay, I'm just okay. Awesome for their support, not necessarily the food.
They don't clean the dishes.
Oh! Wah, 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 wah. Yeah, that's...
This guy comes with good news and bad
I know, right? Like, yo!
Well, after the manager that was promoting the CD left,
Then it just kind of just went downhill. Dang, that's messed up.
So they no longer promote anything now.
Okay, see, so now forget that one. Never mind, Pizza Hut, take that. The other thing though is, in terms of building up your money, so like you have your general revenue stream with the books themselves, right? And again, when you're promoting to comic shops, it's best to have the price point where you have a cover price, but then you have a retail price, a wholesale amount that you can afford to give it to them that chops that down. Let them be profitable, because if it's not profitable to them, they're not going to carry it. That's a huge deal. Like I can't reiterate that enough. So that's what I do. You know, whatever the cover price is, 50% off. That's what I sell it to the comic shops for. So I have to make sure that I found a printer that is, you know, giving me the product at a price that I can afford to do that. $1.85, I can cut that in half. Not a problem. I still make, you know, not $1, but I'm sorry.
But at $3.50 you ain't.
Nope, not at all. At $3.50, I'm losing. I'm losing. So that's one of those things where it's like, what do you do? What do you do? So definitely have that in mind. The other thing is merchandise. Merchandise is a big, big deal. And it's something that is so easy to get a hold of now than it has ever been for us. With the internet age, it's fantastic. We're talking t-shirts, stickers, buttons, magnets, anything that you can think of, coffee cups. Cafe Press has a whole product line of things that you can do to promote your stuff.
I've got some stuff on there.
Well, me too, absolutely. Cafe Press is one of those where it's kind of a one-off, but go for it because it's amazing. Redbubble.com. If you guys want to go local, there's Screened.com. Screened is I think they're located out west. I've never found out whether or not you can actually go pick up stuff instead of having it shipped to you, which would be amazing because shipping cost is brutal sometimes.
I'm sorry, you said Screened?
Screened. SKREENED.com. Yes. Screen.com. And then there's Redbubble.com where you can upload designs there where for t-shirts, hoodies, iPhone cases, stickers, like they offer a lot of different things. One of the greatest things that I have in my back pocket, as Mike mentioned earlier, is Danny Cooper of Mutant Cactus. They do buttons, custom buttons. Man, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, when Danny first told me, because we've been friends for like 20 years, Danny's like, I'm gonna start doing buttons. I'm looking at him like, buttons? Really, dude? What? This is buttons? Like, we're trying to make comics. You're talking about buttons?
Marvel does it.
Listen, I do it now because in 2 years, the business that I saw him do, when I decided to go full-time doing this stuff, I actually, like, was a sponsor for them that year. because I saw what kind of business they were doing. I was like, you know what? When I'm wrong, I'm very, very wrong, and I'll admit this, because otherwise I'm thinking like, nah, man, come on, buttons ain't gonna do nothing. They were phenomenal with their buttons. They have been for almost 4 years straight. It's been ridiculous. So definitely became a sponsor. By becoming a sponsor, I got my own line of buttons. I do 8-bit art designs. They started doing buttons of my 8-bits. Man, that stuff is like jiggling money. Like I'm just, y'all want some here. There you go. Like it's ridiculous. When we go to shows together, they break me off some of the money from it. It's an excellent thing. I've made money off of them doing their thing. Yeah, them as button makers, magnets, everything. It's great to have someone in your camp who does stuff. Like it doesn't matter what it is, just come up with something interesting. It's great to have someone who does it. T-minus 24 T's. They do custom T-shirts. We're going to work together to make some T-shirts for some of my stuff. I like their stuff. It's very pop culture, one-off gags, very parody friendly kind of stuff. I love what they do. They've got like my favorite one is it's an orange shirt with green letter Cringer across it. It's a rip on the Puma logo, and it's got like the cat jumping off, but he's got the stripes. It's Cringer. It's amazing. I love it. So because I love that, I'm like, hey, you guys want to team up? You want to do something? You want to do something? I'll do some designs for them, and I get like a line of T-shirts from it. So that's the plan. Get people in your corner. Like that's kind of the reason why we're doing this, is to introduce ourselves to each other. We're all people that are working in different formats, different venues, different means. It's great for if I'm like, hey, you know what? I got this thing in mind. I know the guy who draws like this. Hey, Mike, will you do this for me? Da 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 da. I'll give you this, or I'll do this for you if you do this for me. It's imperative. On our level, having friends goes a long way, because again, we can only afford to do so much. So if we have more people in our in our circle, in our corner, doing these things, however one-off or just like, you'd be surprised how that can work out for us. I mean, it can go as simple as what I used to be in a group called the CO. And it was a bunch of different artists, right? And the whole goal was we were all going to come up together as artists. One of the biggest ways that we've actually come up together was how much money we saved on hotels, because there was like 8 of us in a room. Like, now I know that sounds ridiculous. I mean, at one point we were, I have to admit, one time we went to Chicago and 2 of us slept on the balcony. I'm not going to lie to you, there was that many of us in a room. But the actual cost per person of being in that room, it made it worth it. Because you never know when having that group of people is going to work out. Have you guys had any instances of merchandising things where it's buttons, stickers, T-shirts, hats, whatever? Anybody delved into that?
I haven't actually done it myself. I just have a question regarding it, because I mostly work like in the prose fiction like format. I don't. I was wondering, like, what would you say you're in like comic books and stuff? Like, what is a limit to set for yourself in merchandising? Because at the end, it's an investment, but
right.
It's also a huge cost. Probably.
Yes, it can be. Again, you look at what will work the best for you. I've got a friend, Dustin Carson. He does a series called No Gods, and he's working on one called Half Breed that he's doing with Ren. One of the things that I've always found interesting for Dustin is that he does not have a company brand. It's worked out for him very well. Me personally, I wouldn't do it. What I would do is have a company brand that I can then put a whole run of investing merchandise into. So if you have something where, as a writer, if there's like a singular title that you're working on, or you've developed a publishing brand, take $100 and invest that into some T-shirts. Walk around with it. Get other people to walk around with it. You'd be surprised how word of mouth can go in huge ways. Especially now that we have weird things like QR codes. Have you guys used QR codes that much?
That's the little squares.
Yeah, the little squares. Man, let me tell you. Okay, those are the most genius inventions of all time. You can actually have a QR code on a sticker. You can put a QR code on a T-shirt. Say like you have something that, like, celebrities do this all the time. Like if there's like an award show, they'll go with a T-shirt that's like, my album drops on August 14th. Like it'll say something ridiculous, but they are literally promoting their album. So imagine if you have something where you say, okay, I'm the writer of such and such, but then you have a QR code on your shirt. If somebody has a QR reader on their phone, they can actually click it, boom, and you get information sent to them. It can be, you know, a promo for the product. It can be to your website. It can be wherever you want it to go. So yeah, I mean, it's on-site marketing. You're like a walking billboard, 24/7. I'm sorry?
My dog's have it.
Your dog's, that is amazing.
On the collar.
On the collars? Does that make it so like if they scan it, they'll know who it belongs to?
Yep.
QRs, like seriously, one of the most genius things I've ever seen. I put QRs, I put that stuff on everything. I didn't want to say that, but yeah, seriously. Let's see, do I have them in these? There we go. In this ad right here, I've got a QR code that takes you to my website. You know, and you've already bought the book, so I'm just going to take you to the website, let you know that there's other stuff that I do. It's one of those great, you know, merchandising tricks. Sure. What I've also seen people do with QR codes is they'll just stick them random places. You know, you'll have as a sticker, just kind of. Some people are curious. You know, you go to a restroom. In a restaurant, you know, like Hound Dogs or something like that, where they're like, hey, you know, put stuff out there. Boop. You've just got a random reader for no good reason.
Kids will make you do it too.
Yes!
That's no joke. We have iPhones, so we were on vacation in Chicago. Hey, Dad, there's one on that window. Hey, here's one here. I scanned probably 50 QR codes on my trip to Chicago,
That's
and
awesome.
I saw so much stuff. And it's on the side of a building. It didn't say anything, but there's like, scan it, see what it is. So you
Right.
scan it, it's like an ad for pizza, or it's an ad for this. So.
It's amazing. I mean,
Kids will make you
it's
scan
the worst case
anything.
scenario though for me. Is
Somewhere
like,
where kids
scan
can
it.
read.
Oh my God! But no, that's
They will.
awesome. Yeah, and it's curiosity at its best. You want to know what it is. Don't know? You know, if you come up with a slogan, that kind of, you know, what's this about? I don't know. For Origins Unknown, the slogan that I have, it's always on the cover. You can't be what the world needs until you know what you are. Now, if I just put that on a shirt somewhere, it's a conversation piece. Well, what's that about? Oh, it's Origins Unknown. You know, what is that? All you need is something to draw them. You know, all you need is that first thing to get somebody to be interested enough to want to know what else there is. Then you're gonna go. You're gonna go check it out. That level of merchandising is huge. I'm looking into more merchandising with T-shirts. I've learned that some people move shirts so well. I've actually heard of some creators that they were offering stuff where if you buy the trade, you get a T-shirt free. People are like, yeah, but how do I just get the shirt? And it's like, well, you don't want the book. It's like, I really don't care. I mean, it's awesome, but I really like that shirt. How do I get the shirt? And so, like, they had to, you know, kind of reluctantly be like, well, I guess you can just buy it. They didn't want to. They was like, no, we want you to read the book. I'm like, dude, that's money. Like, they're asking for it's $25 for the shirt. You know, there you go. You know, you got to be open to that. So what I had to do is I have a number of titles right now. So how do I come up with a shirt? I went based on my logo. It's something where I can promote Vantage in-house, and that's what I push. I really got the idea off of Nick's comics. Nick's, they have some great, like, old school, like, they almost look like old vintage shirts. It's just very simple. Got the Nick's logo right there on the front, different colors. It's fantastic. I think it's one of the most genius things that he has, because you can just wear it, and people are like, what is that? That's awesome. Simple, very simple. Like I said, I would take it to the next level, put a QR on it, so people are like, what is that?
Put it on the back.
Yes, put it on the back. I do something where you got the square, where you got the total square.
Big.
Absolutely. So people are like, just follow me. Just wait, stop moving. Click. I think it's genius. I do. One of the things that I'm planning on doing is I sell things through Etsy. I'm going to get me a stamper, an ink stamper. I found a company that's in Grove City that they actually do QR code stamps. So you can actually stamp it on the back of a print. And when they do it, they actually have a stamp where it's the QR code and then there's like a rectangle around it, so you can write stuff into it if you want to. So every time I sell one, thank you for your support. Check out more stuff. So if anybody wants to just randomly see some of my stuff, click. There you go. You got it. Yes.
I was gonna say, how well is Etsy free, like, as far as
Comic book wise, I don't touch it that way. What I do is 8-bit art designs. So digital pixel art stuff. The prints that I've done have done very, very well for me. My favorite story is Kevin Smith actually bought one of my prints. Yeah, I know, so it's kind of hard. I love Kevin. I did some pieces that were Clerks related. and I'm a big Kevin Smith fan anyway. So it was one of those like happenstance things where I did it, put it up, didn't think nothing of it, and then I started blowing up on Twitter where people were like, "Hey, Kevin Smith bought your stuff," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" No, oh my God, Kevin Smith bought my stuff. So it works out in a really interesting way where if you just keep putting stuff up, which is something that I learned from Danny from Mutant Cactus, they tried to do a MC52 plan, which was they do lines of buttons, original designs, and his plan was to upload a different button design every week. And he didn't quite follow through, but he said that by doing so, he got so many different viewers because he just kept doing it, you know. And that's something that I've learned. Like I did it straight for I think like 8 weeks solid. And I actually got more people seeing my work than what I would have if I just happenstancely did it. So I'm trying to get back into that, where every week I'm putting up something new and just seeing what happens. But it's that,
It's all about maintaining.
Exactly. But I mean, if you can do so, it becomes a challenge for you because I'm a big proponent for using those items to the fullest extent possible. If you have, as an illustrator, right, you say every week I'm going to do a comic book piece. What you have then is an unending amount of financial gains from it. So you got the original piece, which you can, you know, eBay that one, put it up on Etsy as a print. You set how many you're going to have. I always suggest do a small quantity. The smaller the quantity, the more it seems like you have to get it. And then if you're at a show, you can have as many as you want. So worst case scenario is what? Somebody buys the original for however much you charge for that. I know plenty of artists that do that. It's a genius move. Have the original, offer it for a stupid gargantuan amount. You know, oh, this 11 by 17, I want 250 for it now. You know, but I'll sell you the print for 15. You know, like I've seen people do it. People are like, oh, I can't afford the 250, but that 15 is great. You are printing money, like literally. And in worst case scenario, somebody goes, okay, here's $250. Okay, cool. You know, I'll draw another one next week.
I just did something like that today. I was giving away a BioShock Infinite poster at GameStop for a midnight launch thing, and I decided I finally got a chance to print it off. Well, my printer decided to take credit and started doing like a blue shift.
Wow.
So a lot of my prints started coming out really bad. I'm like, well, shit. So I had a lot of, but I had a lot of friends and everybody who had seen like the work in progress, and a lot of them were like really wanted it. It's like, well, what do you get? I was like, well, that kid got in a raffle. You have to pay,
Right.
Because I don't do this for free. But my printer's screwy, so I just actually put it up on Instagram and Facebook. It's like, well, you guys can buy these blue shifted bad test prints for like $15.
Right.
You know, something I would normally charge like $60 for if I had to.
They jumped that.
Oh,
Right?
yeah, pretty much.
See?
I've got like 3, so we're like, oh, we'll pay whatever.
It's 15 right now. You know,
Yeah,
I'm buying 3 of them.
That's actually
Like,
what they're pissy about, because I'm here, and they're all the way back in Mansfield. I'm like,
Aw.
well, like, well,
I'm sorry.
yeah, well,
Love you.
They'll pay for the gas.
Right.
Like, it's
It's like,
fine.
there you go. But yeah, like that's definitely in terms of merchandising. I definitely think that prints of your own stuff definitely fits into that bill. There is the legality of some things.
Copyright.
Yeah, copyright. Copyright is one of those things where it's ironic how few people understand how it actually works. Copyright is something that protects you as the author. If you do something, it is copyright protected automatically. You don't have to do anything. If you draw something, that drawing belongs to you. It doesn't matter what it is of. It doesn't matter who owns the character it depicts. The drawing is yours. By copyright law, no one can touch you. The only questionable aspect is when you go mass production of a property that does not belong to you. Because then what it is it's a matter of selling your product by using a trademark character or design. So that's really the whole point, is what is the actual focal point of the sale? Is it your artwork or is it the character depicted? Once you do prints, it's definitely the character depicted. That's the whole point. You're using this character to sell a print. But if it's a drawing, an original drawing, they wanted your artwork. It doesn't matter what the drawing really is of. The point is your artwork. That's the arguable aspect. So it's ironic how few of us know that. How many of you guys have ever heard the legends of somebody drawing a Disney or Star Wars character at a show and being kicked out from it? Not legal. They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it if they could have the best look. George Lucas himself would be like, you can't draw Boba Fett like that. And you're like, you mean like this? Say that again? Only on the prints. If you were doing original sketches, they couldn't even do that. They have no grounds. An original piece of artwork is just yours.
It's commissioned too.
Right. So that's the whole point. Technically, if they issued out a cease and desist, it couldn't even go to you. It'd have to go to the guy that bought it because it's work for hire. So it technically would be that dude is the one who drew it. I'm just the vessel. You know, you can't even be mad at me. Don't shoot the messenger. That's all I am. So again, knowing all the rules, how they work, very, very important. But you'd be surprised how few people do. Yes.
Sorry, just talking about copyright, something I'm curious of, because a book I'm working on, the protagonist is a comic book fan, since I'm so against self-inserts. So he has commentary on mainstream comics, superheroes, things of that nature, but I'm not actually using the characters,
Right.
though I make mention of them. Do you know if there's kind of an issue there?
Nope, there is no issue. There is no issue. They're not selling points to the material itself. Like, you guys know about the rule with Marvel on comic books? Did you? Okay, so Marvel Comics owns the term Marvel. So on a comic book, you cannot put the word Marvel on the cover. Marvel can come after you for it. That's why Captain Marvel will forever and always go under Shazam. It will always do that because Marvel was like, no, ours, mine. He belong to me.
30 years before they were.
Right, like he's like, I've been around. Doesn't matter. You didn't do what you need to do. So
That's akin to me copywriting towards Comic Town.
right, exactly.
Actually, it's a trademark.
Right. That's what it is. It's trademark. That's what they've done. You know, they own that word, so you can't use that because it could be confusion with their stuff. But you can mention Superman in a story. You can definitely do that. It's in text. As a character, that's his name.
They do it all the time.
Yeah, they do it like and all kinds of stuff. Exactly.
All the time.
Yeah. It's. I mean.
Big Bang Theory.
Yeah,
that too.
Yes, all these different things you can mention, you can throw out. The only thing that you would have any sort of questionable action on is if you depict the key points that would definitely say this is Superman, as opposed to allude to it being Superman. One of my favorite instances of that is Spawn number 9. Yeah, that's right. I'm going back. Spawn number 9. That's what, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's when Spawn is actually walking into the underworld, and you have all these different characters who are dead. You have hands and like a cape, and like that's basically all you see is like this big red cape and a blue arm with the sleeve that cuts off right here to a Caucasian hand. We know who that is. We know exactly who that is. Considering what was going on at the time, the death of Superman, we know who that is. Is it enough to say anything? Nope. There was no S there. It could be anybody. For all we know, we turn around and it's green on this side. That's not Superman. So all you need is enough to allude to, and not. So on a visual basis, you can still kind of be like, nope, sorry, just playing. You know, it's one of those cool things. You know, it's the way trademark and all that stuff works. You gotta learn those things. It's good for you. Yes.
I was gonna say another thing to add to copyright. There's a video that was released by Movement Art. I think it was like a guy who was a professor at a college who normally deals with those types of things. But I'm sure if you'll find it on YouTube, Deviant Art copyright, it's a whole long hour spiel. But you get to know about a lot of the gray areas that you can actually get away with.
Yes.
As far as copyright.
It's important to know it. It really is. It really is.
With an attorney.
Yeah, you can always do that too. I mean, making friends with an attorney is a good time. I actually, at C2E2 last year, there was an attorney from, I can't remember the firm, but she was walking around and she was outright flabbergasted by all of the open trademark infringement that was going on. Like, she could not believe how we were getting away with it. And she's like, seriously, she's like, I cannot believe this. I was like, it's because it's part of the crux of the industry. The mainstream guys, they don't mind. It's because this does not take anything away from them. In fact, what it does is it hypes up their characters. They're all for it, you know. But there are some people that do have a sincere issue with fan art. They don't like it. They feel like it takes away from something. Eric Larson is one. He does not like it. He does not like it. To a big degree, I know of some small press publishers who don't like it because when people are spending money on fan art, they're not spending money on books. It's true. It's very, very true. So what do you have to do? You have to not, dog fan art. It's not fan art's fault that you're not making that money. You need to come up with something that will make it more lucrative despite the fan art. get into it somehow. If you can make a character of yours in your self-publishing venture, dip into that notion, do it. You know, Dave Sims, the creator of Cerebus, he was known for doing that. Where, you know, somebody walk up to him, oh, draw me Wolverine. He would draw Cerebus as Wolverine. Genius. Absolute genius. Because I'm still promoting what's mine. You know, and this is the thing that I want you to have. And so people got, you know, they got wind of it, and so they started understanding, okay, he's not just giving me a drawing of Wolverine, he's still promoting himself, his material. So that's what they want. That's what it's become. Genius move. If you can do that, do that. You know, it's smart that way. If you can push it, you know, to get your self-published piece still in the same market as the fan art stuff, that's your job. That's your job. Don't dog the system if you're not being a smart player in it. That's just the way I feel about it. Never hate the player, always hate the game. But don't even worry about that. Just do your job. So that's a big one. No other questions on or thoughts on merchandising aspects? No? Keychains, t-shirts, sunglasses, find them all. I mean, sometimes it's the most ridiculous thing that you can think of that somebody would be like, that's awesome, I want it. I'm actually looking into, for my 8-bit stuff, tattoos. I get that all the time. People are like, oh my God, you know, are these tattoos? And I'm like, no, but they will be. So, you know, I'm looking into that as a revenue stream. Tattoos are big. You know, little kids are like, oh my God, I need it. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Find your mom and your dad and come tell them how badly you need this. $3. You can't eat that. So last thing I want to talk about are expectations versus reality and realization. This one is a tough one. I am so guilty of this on my own scale and level. When we put stuff out, none of us expect to put out something that is crappy. Like, that's not our goal under any circumstance. We think that when we put it out there, we are putting out something worthwhile, our best effort, our best venture. This is going to be something. And the worst thing ever is when it, like, that's terrible. On a personal level, when I do a new 8-bit design and I put it up on Twitter and Facebook, I can't tell you how many times within that first hour I'm going back to click. How many people liked it? How many people liked it? If nobody did, I'm like, oh my God, I'm garbage. I'm just gonna stop. Nobody likes it. It's terrible. I know it's not the smartest thing to do, but I'm guilty of it. I think we all are, to some degree. We definitely want to get that initial feedback of you are amazing. You know.
I'll put up paintings on my Instagram, get like maybe 25 likes in about an hour. Like, yeah, I'm doing great.
Right.
My wife will put up a picture of the cat, 115.
And you're like,
like,
dang it!
Yeah, you stare at the cat.
Why?
It's your fault.
So what you do is you put the cat as a picture, doing the comic book for you. Then you
I
get a million
thought
likes.
about doing that, just having him pointing at like.
Isn't this great? You like me, you like him.
Meow.
Do that. Do that.
It's not the grumpy cat, is it?
No, although that would be amazing too. Expectation-wise, I think out of all the books that I've sold or that I've created, I might have sold 100, maybe. I have no idea. I have not cataloged or inventoried my stock like that. Only because I think it would kind of make me a little crazy on knowing those numbers and how well I'm either doing or not doing. But it's something that as I grow as a publisher, I'm gonna have to. But always have like realistic goals. You know, you don't want to be like, oh, I'm about to be a millionaire. Don't set yourself up like that. You know, that's a terrible idea. Yeah, exactly.
First million's the hardest.
Right. After that, it's way easier. I'm still working on mine though.
I'm working on my second.
Oh, what's up? You know you're my best friend, right? Okay. You know I love you. We can have kids. Whatever. It's $1 million. Just saying. But yeah, you know, when you get your books done, I think that's like, little goals that you should have for yourself. First one is to get it done, Second one is to get it out. Have those little things that you kind of set yourself up with. And like I said, when you have those multiple venues for revenue or distribution or things like that, it works better and kind of takes the load off in terms of success. My first prose novel, I think maybe I've sold 100 copies of that. It came out last April. It's not something that I keep pushing. Like, I probably should. That's another big thing for me is my marketing constantly is a little difficult because I have multiple titles. I don't know exactly what to push, when to let it go. That's kind of hard, so I really don't push any of it for any really long period of time. But I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with the 100 units that I've sold. I'm already working on the next volume. You know, I'm working on the next thing. That's a big deal. You know, have those realistic expectations that someone will read it. That's all I really care about. I need one person to read it. It's not really about whether or not it sells. How many people saw it? How many people will talk about it? At Space last weekend, I was good for giving people copies to read of my stuff. You know, while you're here at the show, read it. Just tell me what you think. You know, sit down, read it. If you hate it, tell me. If you love it, tell me. But just read it. That's most important. You know, because I think that if you read it and you like it, you'll buy it, or you'll talk to somebody else and they'll buy it. You know, because you've talked it up. I've been very fortunate that that's happened a few times. Where The Trouble with Love specifically, I've sold it to one guy, and I've had 3 other people like, hey, he said this was dope, so can I get a copy? Yes, you can. You know, you want to read it first? Sure. Sit down. You know, and then they'll buy it because they're like, this was good. I'm like, okay, sweet. Glad you liked it. Word of mouth goes a huge, long way. Like, you can't beat word of mouth. So, you know, have that expectation specifically of, I want people to read it. And then be smart about where you promote. You know, like I said, sneaker shop. You know, it's an urban you know, boutique. I took some of my urban material there. You know, the Samaritan takes place in an urban setting, has a prominently black character. I'm like, yep, you guys will read that. And you're like, oh, this is amazing. Yes, it is, because I've catered to this audience. You know, sometimes you have to do that. Know your audience, know the people who you're dealing with. Not all comic book readers are created equally. You know, understand that. Not all comic book publishers are created equally, obviously. So, you know, experiment with all those kinds of different things. But again, as long as people are reading, there's still an open venue for, you know, return. I actually just read an article a few weeks ago about a guy who wrote this novel, and he's like, yes, it's going to be amazing, it's great. And I think within 2 years, he sold maybe 200 copies. Most of them were in Russia. He was like, this is not a Russian book, I don't understand how this is supposed to work. He was like, maybe I'm doing something wrong, you know, maybe I shouldn't be writing. Nope, he realized that his whole motif, his whole expectation of success was wrong. You know, he was expecting to get, you know, J.K. Rowling money. Okay, no, that's dude, you know, like, that's great. Yeah, it's like, you know, you're not the Potter. You're like, that was a once in a lifetime thing maybe. Like, who knows if we're ever gonna get that again. But, you know, write because that's what you want. Like, take that part from J.K. She wrote something that she wanted to tell. It just was very, very good. Like, you know, and it just got better. Those are always the things that I tell everyone. What you put out the first time will never be as good as the next thing that you do, because you'll always be growing. You'll always learn more. The things that I do now blow out of the water what I did when I first came into the game, like, because I know so much more. You know, what was it? Our first group thing was Please Press Start. This book was huge. It was like 64 pages, black and white. This thing was like a month. You couldn't close it. It was so bad. We were selling that thing for $10 a pop because we had to pay so much money to get it printed. We had to. I mean, it was ridiculous. Some of the pages weren't formatted well. Stuff that I do now, I wouldn't dare do such a thing. Like, we know better. Like, I don't even have a copy of Please Press Start, just so I don't have to remind myself of where it was. You know, people know about it. Like, people's like, hey, aren't you that guy? I'm like, why are you talking about that? You know, look at this book, it's so much better. But yeah, there's always that growth. You know, that should be another part of your success, to know more in the process, to have done more with what you've done. And don't be afraid to share it. You know, be open. Be willing to take negative criticisms. It will happen. Not everyone is going to run towards your book, especially at a show. When you do conventions, that's another creature all into itself. What you can't do, like, for my artists in the crowd, you guys sit down a lot, right? There's a reason for that. I mean, most people aren't comfortable drawing standing up. You know, it doesn't happen very well. But you need someone else there. You know, like, because you can't really try to make yourself responsible to be finishing a commission and then catch another one. You need someone there. That's something else for you to think about. You know, if you're just the publisher, you have to be willing to stand on your feet for 8 hours and just meet anybody that makes eye contact. Start talking. You know. That's part of it, you know. Levels of success. Again, more readers, more people included into what you're doing. Be willing to give them freebies if you need to, and be willing to talk to anybody. That's another one of my rules. As a person who is in small press and I'm aiming to move up into the mainstream, one of my first rules is I will never ever refer to a mainstream person, professional or whatever, by their last name. You're never going to be Mr. or Mrs. anything to me. It will be Jeff or John or Jim or Eric. Or I didn't say that. I didn't say that. He said I didn't say that. I'm saying, but no. You if you want to be a peer, treat them like a peer. That's one of those rules. Again, like I said, with the artists and the page rates, I understand it. You want to be considered a professional, your goal is to act as a professional. Just, we're not professionals yet, so don't do that to us. It's those venues.
Just different levels.
Yeah, just different levels. Yes, we're pro, not pro. We're just not quite there. We don't have a whole O. It's kind of a German-looking thing with dots. But yeah, you guys have any thoughts about the success levels of books? Like, how do you rate success with a book? Like when it gets out, when it's done.
If I sell an issue.
Right.
My success is a little more personal. If the book is out and published and I see some kid reading it,
Okay.
that's my success.
I respect
And they're
that.
talking about how cool it is, or just seeing anyone in general that's legitimately reading the book.
Do you
And
just
I
stalk
don't.
people doing it? Like you just like, what you reading?
Oh yeah, they'll buy the book
What
and
do you-
just like, anytime.
Just be slowly stalking people. This is Shadow come over your shoulder. If you're reading High Shot and Shadow shows up, it's him.
Slowly peek around the
Right.
store. What's up, buddy?
What you reading? What are you reading there, friend?
Is that the show, hot show?
That's dope. That's dope. Anyone else?
I mean, this is, I guess, ties more to like the prose fiction, but just something I'm finding lately, because I originally was planning to go through the traditional find an agent
Right.
publishing route, but I've been leaning more lately toward the self-publishing. And it's funny, I found that, you feel a little defeated, like if you tell a friend, like, yeah, I have this book that I'm almost done with, that, I'm looking to self-publish it myself. They're like, oh, okay, so you're not really a writer then.
Oh, see, that's me. The uppercut. I was like, what do you mean? Yes, I am!
Because I just like, a lot of people will almost, like some people will discount you if they don't have that official,
Somebody else put it
by
on
an
it.
agent, type of thing. So it's just making sure to keep in your head that that's not like what gives you your success. It's having something that someone else has read. and
Absolutely.
something that somebody else takes value in.
Absolutely. And forget whoever looks at you like, no,
Right.
whatever. I'm dope because you don't even have a self-published book out. You just take that.
Right, because I've had like things published in like college,
Right.
literary journals, things like that. But as far as a self-publishing thing, it's almost like not nearly as much anymore, like a dirty word as
Right.
vanity type of
True,
publishing.
true,
But
true.
yeah, it's just keeping in mind that that's not what will make you successful. It's
You know what, I have to admit, I think that's something that is probably only still true in the self-publishing prose world.
Right,
Because in the
right.
comic book world, we're like, oh yeah, I self-published that all day, baby. That means that check belongs to me.
Right.
Like, I think we actually have more prestige with it. So
Yeah.
I think it's interesting how that would work.
It's actually how the writer in Australia kind of worked out. Like he got a hold of me, and again, this is back when I was being really cocky and ass. But don't do that stuff anymore. But he's like, he's like, oh yeah, I've got deals lined up, and we're gonna make all sorts of money on this. And even then, I was like, no. I'm aware that like you
Yeah.
see comic movies and you see that you realize that stuff's been around for 40 years.
That's right.
This is in 1992 where you can just make a number one issue and make millions.
No.
But I was still being cocky about it, and then like I got his first draft of his script, and it's just this massive stream of consciousness. Like there's no structure. But I was like, so I actually emailed him back. I was like, have you done anything like that before? He's like, no, really bad sheet you put together. Oh my god! I'm trying to break it into panels and trying to break it into pages. Like, dude, to make this a page, it's like 9 panels. Like that's not good at all.
I can't do this.
So it's like, and it's gone through rewrites and different styles. I'm like, oh my god, man! Like, it's like, well, how come you're not doing it faster? Because you're not giving me things to work with. I
Draw faster, write better.
that's pretty much what I've gone down to. Now I basically told them, like, go back, send it to an editor, have them break it. I hate editors. I hate them. They suck. But you need them. You need them as much as you need me, and as much as I need you. Get somebody to write this, and I'll pump out whatever you want, as long as it's giving me into a structure. But do not pretend for a second that, like, just because I get this done, we're gonna be rolling in the dough.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
If that ever does happen, call me, because I'll do
Oh,
something with
absolutely.
you too. I mean, I'll just, whatever it is.
I will relish when it happens.
Yeah, okay.
I really will.
Yeah, anybody.
But it's that same sort of thing. He sees where comics have gotten to, but it's like you realize that it's taken. There's been decades of
Years.
just nothing happening.
Yes,
Like
yes.
between like 2000 and what was like maybe 2006, dead. Nothing happened.
Right. I mean,
You know?
we had
Well,
a bunch of
95
one-offs.
to that point.
Yeah, we had
nothing
a
happened.
bunch of one-offs. But I mean, even then, if you think about like Spider-Man, which I think was the beginning of, like, even more so than X-Men was.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man movie was the beginning of this golden era of comic book movies.
Yeah.
That's 2002, when Spider-Man was actually created in what?
63.
63? Yeah. So, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
success? No, you reached for that.
Look
It
at the
was like,
Spider-Man TV show. You can see where
oh, yeah.
bad that
We
become.
come, started at the bottom, now we're here. So,
What do you think?
yeah, that's,
The
yeah.
show was
Oh
amazing.
my god.
These amazing friends make total sense.
No, I don't know if we can
Live
get that
action or
over.
the animated?
We'll go live action.
The animated was-
I can make some sort of semblance of his amazing friends, him and Iceman and Starfire having a
Yeah, that works.
That works.
Iceman and Starfire is like,
It's like
who
Friends
put
with
that
superheroes.
together? Like, but only 3 of them though. Like that's the problem. And there was no coffee shop. If there was a coffee shop, that show would still be on the
Yeah,
day.
there was, that is.
The show would still be
They
on
need a
today.
hangout joint. That's
Telling you, they would have made it. Let's Marvel, call us. We got you. We got your next pilot. Forget the Avengers and the Shield stuff. Amazing Spider-Man and his friends will bring it back.
Coffee
We
shop
got you.
laugh track.
It'd be
Yeah.
awesome. Amazing. It'd be like the Seinfeld of superheroes. That's the thing or not. Any other thoughts? Or
That
just
comes out, if that comes out from Kevin Smith, I'm gonna be upset.
dude, if that comes out from Kevin, if you come out with that one, you owe all of us. All of us. We all get a percentage.
Stops right in Clear Street now.
That's right. Starts. He's like, what? Amazing. But yeah, any other thoughts on self-publishing? Any concerns? Any strange anecdotes or funny stories from anyone else? No. I think like one of my personal greatest instances, which really kind of carries over from the Hotshot days, was last year at Cincinnati Comic Expo, and there's a guy who walked up, and I'm pitching my books, and he looks at my name, and he goes, Dandridge. He's like, are you related to the guy that did Hotshot? And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, what? And he's like, are you related to the guy that did Hotshot? He's like, you guys have the same last name. And I said, Hotshot from Freestyle Comics? He goes, yeah. He's like, I love that series. And I'm looking at him like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. And I was like, I am that guy. No! Are you serious? Like, did I tell you about that? Dude, this dude was so excited. He's like, when's the next issue coming out? I was like, you're gonna have to ask Mike. I don't know. And he's like, man, I love that. Like, it was insane. But it was one of those moments where you had done something and you thought like, oh, it's over. Nobody's gonna really say anything about it. And this guy's like, oh, amazing, like you. So you never know.
Do a trade.
Right. Well, no, this was like he wasn't a creator. He was
No,
like,
I mean, put it out as a trade.
yeah, Mike put it out as a trade. So I can put it out on that. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Make sure his picture's on that.
Right, put it on the big so that way people know it's like, it is the same Dandridge. Like that's, but I mean, it was the growth, like that level of growth where, you started here and you're doing this stuff and you're not sure if anybody really cares, and maybe years later you find out everybody loved it. It happens, definitely the case for a lot of people. Frank Frazetta is one of those artists that he was beloved. Like seriously, when he died, the world got a little darker, and I don't think he ever profited from his work as much as he ever should have. Same thing with Jack Kirby. I mean, so many creators that changed the game. Ditko's definitely one. Changed the game, but they didn't get that love themselves. Don't worry about that. I'm sorry?
Kirby got love.
Kirby definitely got love, but he got shafted entirely too much for all the love he should have got.
True.
I'm gonna just throw that out there. I'm just saying.
He got more love than Dick did.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I mean, flip for Ditko real quick. You know what I'm saying? Can I get a flip for Ditko? Moment of flip. But yeah, so you never know. Always just keep moving forward. To quote the Meet the Robinsons, because you never know when something is going to pop off. You don't know that the next thing is going to be the one that's really going to do it, or if the thing that you did, a while ago is going to be the thing, but nobody's going to tell you until later. Just keep at it. I know a lot of people that have been discouraged and they quit, only to find out, later on, like, no, this was dope. It's like, I didn't even know. I had no idea. Stay at it. If this is something that you want, it's something that you love, the money will come. Don't worry about it. If you put in the work, to make a good quality product, the money will come. Don't worry about that. So that's definitely, you know, one of the biggest things I can tell you about self-publishing. It's not about money. It's about love. You do it because you want to. You know, you wake up in the morning and you got that story that you want to tell, and you can't think of anything else but to tell that story. That's exactly what you should be doing. You know, it's not even about going to another agent, you know, publisher or whatever, and having them tell you your story is good. You feel it, you know it. Tell your story. You know, that's what happened with Mike. You know, Mike was told for entirely too long, your work's too urban, too urban. It's like, you know what they're really saying. You know what they're saying. No guy of significant, you know, melon. But, you know, instead of being discouraged, put out his own stuff. You know, it was taking that and saying, okay, fine, you think it's too urban, well, I'm gonna tap into this urbanness and I'm gonna make it work. And then you're gonna come to me. You're gonna come at me and be like, hey, guy with the urbanness, we've got this cool urban book we want you to work on. We're still working on that to happen, but, you know, that's the thing. You never know. You never know. So always keep pushing. Thank you guys so very much for coming and sharing with me. You guys are awesome. I want to hear all of your names and find out what you've been working on, because I definitely want to get some collections of it, and see if we can't work together to get it in more places like Comic Town and other comic shops here in the city, because there is a support of us. Columbus Alive just did an article in February about about our comic scene. You know, we're awesome. We are awesome. There's no two ways about it.
Columbus is like becoming like this big indie thing.
Yes, yes. I mean,
If there's a scene to be had in Columbus I'm glad it's a comic scene.
absolutely.
We already had like a really strong art community in the first place. Like now it's comic really. That's really sweet.
Exactly. I was actually very fortunate to be a part of that article and to know that Comic Book Resources picked it up. They actually promoted it and did a little blurb about it. So like people are looking, and so things like this for us will allow us to hone our craft, build a bigger voice, a better voice, so that when we do say we're from this place, we're from Ohio, we're from Columbus, people go, yes you are. I can tell just by the quality or the consistency of the quantity of work that you put out, and will make us, you know, even better in our standing. I mean, Ohio is the heartland, you know what I mean? Like, we just celebrated 75 years of Superman. That was just up the road. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where we are. So this is the legacy that we have as Ohioans, if you will, and the awesome stuff that we will create, you know, as we continue with technology growing and our efforts and everything. So again, thank you guys so very much for coming out today and sharing. You guys are 100% stellar. Thank you.
Thank you.